It is
You should
7
get Claudia's
o'clock,
right there.
so I'm going to call this meeting to order right at 7 o'clock. Is this when you would like to review some of the items, Aaron?
Yes, I would. My name is Aaron Tarnitzer. I get to be the superintendent of the McFarland School District. Thank you all for being here. Electors, glad to have you here. I'm going to just highlight some things that are in your packet of information. You should have a packet over there. And this is the agenda, so we will go through each step of the agenda. The primary purpose to be to talk about our tax levy and adopt a tax levy. There are some ground rules. In order to qualify as an elector, you need to be a U.S. citizen, age 18 or older, okay, and reside in the school district of McFarland for at least 28 days. If you do not qualify as one of those things, you are welcome to stay, but you are unable to vote. The rest of you may vote. Attendees should state their name when addressing the chairperson. If you're going to make an action that begins with a motion, then a second, and then there's discussion, and then a vote will be held. Most often we'll take a voice vote, but we can have ballots or hand raising as necessary. I think with this crowd, we can handle a voice vote. Should attendees wish to propose motions for new business that fall under the powers and responsibilities at annual meeting that aren't on the agenda, you'll do that through a written, signed, and presented document to the chairperson. So there's very limited things on what is actually done in an annual meeting, and we'll cover those when we get to that agenda item. Oh, look at that. Powers of the annual meeting. There's a lot of words up here, but we will lead you through, many of which don't apply to us, but unless you have statute 12010 memorized, they're here for your review. We do have a parliamentarian available if necessary. So should we have a question tonight, we will defer to Attorney Shayna Lewis for any questions to make sure we follow proper procedures. All right. So at this time, we talk about electing a chairperson. President Fessler is the temporary chairperson.
Yes. So from the electors, I would look for a motion or nomination for a chairperson for the annual meeting.
And please, can I just say, if you are going to make a motion, please step up to the microphone
True.
so that the public can hear you.
Yes.
Microphone right there. I should have said that.
You're
Thank
not going to
you.
hurdle the chairs?
I'm Craig Howery, and I would like to nominate Megan Fessler to oversee the 64th annual meeting.
All right. Thanks, Craig. Do I have a second?
I am Angie Straub, and I will second that.
All right. Thank you, Angie. Any discussion or questions about that before we vote?
Any other nominations?
Any other nominations? All right, let's take it to a vote. I guess I would accept the nomination as long as you all agree. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Okay, so the first thing that we have is the minutes of the 2024 annual meeting provided by Clerk Bruce Fisher. We often waive the reading of that unless anyone is opposed. I would, I think last year we did make a motion.
We don't need to.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
so we took that out just to expedite our meeting time. So they're here in your packet for your review
Perfect.
at your leisure.
All right, so next we would have the treasurer's report and budget summary provided by School District Treasurer Megan Chapman. That one we often also waive the reading of. So if that is still good with everyone, I would look for a motion to.
We don't need a motion for that
Oh
either.
my heavens. Here, I did all this preparation just in case.
Yep, we changed it.
Great. All right, then let's take it away, Jeff Mahoney, with the hearing on the budget.
All right, so Jeff
More
Mahoney
time,
and I are going to be your dynamic duo here to present the hearing on the budget to you. The first thing we want to talk about is the biennial budget. And the reason why we're talking about the state budget is it provides the context for our individual budget. Some things to keep in mind about state funding in Wisconsin is, unfortunately, school funding has not kept up with inflation. So the current estimates are over $3,200 per student short of what the inflation would be. So that's over $7 million for our school district that we are losing because in 2009 the state decided to no longer index school funding to inflation. Result is that as of 2023, Wisconsin is spending 10% less per student than the national average, and we dropped from 11th in the nation in 2002 for school funding to 26th in 2023. We use 2023, by the way, because that's the most recent data available. So the state biennial budget was passed in July, and there's a few things to know. One thing is there was an increase in special education funding. It was very slight, amounts to about $200,000 for the school district of McFarland, and that has not kept up with inflation. The actual costs of special ed have skyrocketed. Very important funding that is needed, but the one estimate has it being that special education costs have increased 84% in the last 15 years. In terms of general aid, that funding has not increased from the state in the last 2 years. So what that means, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, is it puts more burden on the taxpayer, the local taxpayer. In terms of open enrollment, the state biennial budget did increase open enrollment. So what that means is that this is the amount of money that a receiving district for an open enrollment situation gets to keep of the total expenditure. So when a student open enrolls out of a district, the local resident school district keeps a portion of those funds, and the majority of those funds go to the receiving school district. And they've increased the state budget, didn't increase the total amount of funding, just the portion of that open enrollment amount that is received by a school district. So where this really benefits are districts that have more students open enrolling into their district than those that have people open enrolling out. We are very fortunate to be one of those districts where more people choose to come here than choose to go somewhere else. So we estimate that's approximately $144,000 increase for us as a result of this change in the state budget. For our brick and mortar schools, now keep in mind we also are the authorizer for the Wisconsin Virtual Academies, and that is a district where all of the students that enroll there are done through open enrollment. As a result of that increase, we receive a portion of those funds for our oversight, and that results in an additional $194,000 for our district. So combined, that's a significant amount of money that the biennial budget change resulted for us, but other districts are losing out on those funds in the state. Finally, want to point out that the biennial budget increased funding for charter and choice schools, so private education. Our state continues to fund 2 education systems, and our local taxpayers, all of you in McFarland, are taxed over $230,000. Those funds go to private schools of your tax dollars. Some key budget notes. One of the things that is really important to acknowledge is we were entering this year anticipating having a budget deficit of $390,000, and fortunate that through some increased revenues and decreased expenses that we are able to share with you a balanced budget. So in terms of expenses, we now have a new insurance provider and plan that resulted in significant savings below what we anticipated we would be spending. We also paused hiring for a vacant position. In this case, it was our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Belonging Coordinator. That position was vacated and it was not filled, remains paused. We saved some funds through energy efficiency and other budget adjustments, and we also were able to finalize wage increases for our staff so we can attract and retain the high-quality staff that you have come to expect and know in our district. Revenues, I mentioned about the oversight fees from the Wisconsin Virtual Academies. In addition to the biennial budget, adding to that, the enrollment in the virtual academies continues to increase. I believe there are over 5,000 students from the state of Wisconsin that choose to attend one of the schools in the Wisconsin Virtual Academies. We also have, you never know what interest earnings will be, and we're pleased to report that we had an increase in interest earnings. One of the things that the state budget did approve was a $325 per student increase on the revenue cap. So that results in additional revenues for the district. And of course, as you know, the majority of the voting taxpayers voted to increase the revenue cap for the school district through an operational referendum, resulting in $1.75 million. So that is just an overview of some of the bigger items that resulted in a balanced budget. And now I turn to Mr. Mahoney.
Well, thank you, and thank you for coming to the 64th. I was just commenting to Aaron that I've gotten to be a part of the school district for over 1/3 of those. Now that I'm here 22 years, and helping guide the district through its funding and expenditure needs. So thank you for allowing me to do that. A few years ago, we started with this slide because really a lot of people were always wondering, well, what is the tax levy, Jeff? Why don't you just tell us right up front and get at this? So the result of the budget at this point and what we're presenting this evening will result in a 15.04% increase in our tax levy. That includes 19.6% for the general fund, which is going to can be taxed up to $17.7 million, and we'll get into that a little bit more. And our debt service is coming in at $4.6 million. And our capital expansion fund, which is actually within the revenue cap, is $249,000. And our community service fund, $532,000. So 15% overall. 7%, or about half of that, is due to the operational referendum as planned. Total for all budgets, it's kind of interesting to think that, we're starting, when you take a look at the entire budgets that we manage and account for all the transactions approaching just over $100 million, of which $43.8 million of that is for the virtual academies that Mr. Tarnitzer had talked about. And again, that is money that is passed through us. We retain 4 to 5% of a management fee for each of the dollars that go through and for those expenditures. So that is a transaction that is part of our books. That school does that operation, which is an independent charter, non-instrumentality charter school that has its own school board. They do have their own set of books, but the way the state operates, that money does flow through us, and then we pass it through to the virtual school. There are 6 major funds in our school district: the general fund, general education, special education fund, which we'll have a slide on that, debt service fund, again, our house payments, our capital projects, school nutrition fund, and the community service fund. Aaron's already moving me to the next one, keeping me on time here. There's no Brewers game tonight, so that would have been completed. That would have been a 4 o'clock game. No. So our general fund, balanced budget, $82.8 million. So really, again, about $39 million is our actual brick and mortar school district budget. Question if you'd want to come up to the mic?
Yep.
State your name, address.
Yeah. Is that slide in the book here, what you're referring to? I can't seem to find it, and it's probably me. Jim Hickey.
Yeah, so,
Where would that be in here? I'm just trying to find it.
so, you're gonna find budget adoption documentation, and each of the areas that I'm talking about have their, yep,
It doesn't say expense 82, that's not here, is it? Am I missing-
No, the slide, we
The
did not
slide.
copy the slides. no.
Oh,
right.
do you have a copy
But the
of that
chart.
available or not? No. No one else needs it? Oh, that's fine. Just wondering.
The same information is in pages,
What's that?
the same information is in page 7 through
Which number is 7?
13.
Right, but you got a nice summary in that page, don't you?
Oh, you're welcome.
6?
We could provide a copy at the end of the, would that be
We
helpful?
just don't have it.
Maybe it'd be helpful if I sat up closer and see it, huh?
Thank you. So, our budget is balanced this year by one, the referendum that our community supported of $1.75 million. This is the second year of that 3-year referendum. Additionally, the virtual schools oversight fees account for $1.7 million of our budgeted revenues. As you think about that, that almost equals exactly what our referendum amount is for this year. So without $1.7 million, we would have had to have larger referendums to keep our schools operating the way they are. So it is a very important partnership that we have. Interest earnings this year, instead of looking at about $200,000 like we've been counting on for a while, we moved to $450,000. Our average has, the last 5 years, been closer to about $450,000 to $475,000. So we're counting on those interest earnings off of our reserves. And then various other budget adjustments and reductions in expenses and increases in small areas of revenues. So that is our general fund. More detail on the general fund. Just a reminder, the revenue cap minus state aid equals property tax. So we got a gut punch from our state of a decrease of nearly $812,000 less in state aid. It's a 5% loss. So basically, all the aid we had received in addition last year was lost this year due to our state's decision not to use any of their reserves. So basically, we're at the 23-24 aid amount. If you account for even a modest 2.9% inflationary adjustment, it's as if we don't have $1 million that we would have normally seen from our state, because basically the last 7 years, they've been averaging increases in state aid of 5.2%. As a note, McFarland receives 0.26% of statewide total aid. So as you can see there in the red, the revenue cap, $33 million, you minus your state aid, that's your formula. There's a lot more that goes into it, but that's the basics of it. Revenue cap minus state aid is property tax.
I got a question.
Yes,
Can you go back to that other slide? I'm just trying to learn a little bit about this.
sure.
Jim, can you go up to the microphone, please? Thank you.
Just that, hey, the other one back thing. No,
Okay.
forward. Okay, hang on. Now,
Can't make up
I
a
can't-
slide.
I'm really sorry, but when you say in there, that's really interesting. So you're saying that of all statewide total revenue, we get 0.26% all that?
Yep.
Now, the public ought to be outraged, don't you think?
We think so.
Huh?
We think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Okay, thank you.
So one of the really big things that we always have to be mindful, because our revenue cap is based on the number of students we have that are residents. McFarland School District, on the right-hand side, you can see the resident-only graph. I'm not gonna get into the numbers too much, but you can see that our resident enrollment is starting to dip. It's on its third year of a decrease. However, we're not as low as our 2013, 14, 14, 15, those years. Those were years that if you were to look at the right-hand side, up at the top, open enrollment in, and again, sorry, these are kind of small for the distance we have here, but we had higher open enrollment in. That's because we've been fortunate that we can balance. Now you can see the uptick on the farther right-hand side of that top graph on the right-hand side for open enrollment in. That's because we have the lower class sizes. So as our school board sets open enrollment limits each January, we will continue to see that we will be open for students that may want to come to our school district. We're in competition with everybody else in Dane County. Every school district has open enrollment in. Across the state, we have declining residential enrollment in public schools for various reasons. One, there are more choices that become more attractive to families because they're being funded by our state through other systems, and also a decline in birth rates. So it is challenging to have all these situations, but it is a reality.
One thing I do want to point out, just because it is hard to see, that the x-axis on the open enrollment in and out are different numbers. So the top number on in is 350 and the top number on out is 70. So you can't superimpose those on top of each other. I just wanted to make sure people don't think we have more open enroll out than in. It's dramatically
That's a good
different.
point.
Exactly.
And that's reflected in the numbers on the left-hand side about our net increase is 110 kids. We have 110 more kids coming in than are leaving the district.
All right, Special Education Fund, Fund 27. Now, Fund 27 receives $4.7 million annually from the general fund as a transfer. Special education is nearing about $9 million annually in our school district. So our sources of income are 52% from our Fund 10 taxpayers, 24% from the state, 24% from the federal government at this point. State reimbursement, Aaron talked about that. There was an increase. They're looking at, what is it, 42%, I think, for this year.
34.
But it's going to be challenging because everybody's expenses across the state are growing 6 to 10%. So it's really just going to eat into the new money that's being put in place for special education.
And that's some certain too, so it's not like there's a set amount of dollars.
Yeah,
And then it gets.
Yep.
So that percentage increase gets eroded a
and
little
for a
bit.
school district that has declining enrollment and we have less students in special education, but we still have to offer as many services as we have,
Yeah.
it's going to be a challenge.
So just to explain that difference to the public about some certain versus some sufficient. So some sufficient would say, we're going to fund this at this percentage regardless of how much it costs. That's some sufficient. Some certain is what the state did, is said, we're going to allocate this much amount of money to this regardless of how much it costs. And so what they're anticipating is the actual percentage of funding will be much lower because the costs will be higher than expected, so.
Yeah, Jim, you have a question? Can you use the mic or
You're on TV. We appreciate
just
it.
then everyone who is watching can hear?
Jeff, you would know, and Aaron, you might also, but maybe you could explain what originally that percentage of the state was gonna reimburse special ed back, I think it goes back to Tommy Thompson, for the millions of visitors or viewers here, so they understand exactly the commitment, should we say lack of commitment, and how our legislature and our governors have basically screwed this entire system of special ed based upon which they promised. And I think you probably know the answer, if not Jeff. So,
Either one.
Thanks, Jim.
The correct answer is 2/3.
So that would be, if I'm correct, 66%, correct?
Yes.
And what's it now?
Well, this year is supposed to be about 44%.
Yep, and that's an increase,
Yep.
Correct.
so.
We've been as low as 24% in the last decade.
So to the millions of viewers out there watching this, it would seem to me it would necessitate a phone call, something, maybe a No Kings March. How about a Please Fund Us March? Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, debt service fund. You know, kind of some exciting news on this because we're starting to rapidly approach a time frame of which debt service is our mortgage payments, and our mortgage payments are going towards our last referendum, which was passed in 2016, the $65.1 million referendum. But on the horizon in 28, 29, we will have a $700,000 or 14% decrease in that particular line item of our property tax bills. And if someone wanted to know, well, what's that mean to me as a homeowner? It's about $110 for a $450,000 home. So while you can't plan for it yet, we do have some good news in the future for 28, 29. Little known fact, you can create up to 10% of debt on equalized value. So right now we're riding at about 2%. So the school district, if they wanted, could increase debt by 8% to have more buildings. But obviously that would take referendums, and our 2016 referendum set the school district up for success. So, Capital Projects Fund. You know, for 22 years, we've been living.
Yeah.
Question about debt service?
Sorry, please, I want to go home early. Jeff or Aaron, Ms. Fessler, help me out. Is there a difference between what the village municipality can do relative to accessing money for referendums or non-referendums versus a school district as far as a municipality goes? I've heard things, and I just fact-wise, I don't know, I'm asking a question. In other words, can a village municipality get funds without going to a referendum, whereas a school district would have to go to a referendum, for those same funds? Question.
A school district must go to referendums for both operational and debt service.
What about the village?
The village has to do operational. They have the opportunity to do capital projects without a referendum. But it depends on what their local ordinances are as well.
You probably don't know what our local ordinance is?
For, now, again, we have 5 municipalities in our school district.
Let's just go with the Village of McFarland.
Okay.
You don't know?
I
don't know.
I don't.
Might be something people want to look at, because I suspect there might be some disparity with what a school district has to do compared to what a village municipality or township would need to do, which would be interesting.
Thank you.
All right, back to capital projects. Pleased to note that we have been able to take care of the majority of our large projects, both boilers, parking lots, and roofs, using about $249,000 annually over the last 22 years. We kind of build cycles. Certainly the referendum in 2016 took care of an amount of projects, refreshing MPS, the middle school, good portions of the high school, and Wabisa is a much newer school. However, we are in the midst of concreting the high school roofing areas that were not completed during the referendum, and they weren't planned to be, as they had more years of life on them. So the remaining projects that need to be on this high school are about $6 million worth. We completed $1.3 million this summer. We're planning about 750,000 to $1 million next summer. We will have to get to a point where we'll discuss with our school board how we're gonna fund the remainder of those projects over the next few years. But we do have roofs that are coming of age. They do need to be replaced due to insurance needs as well. If you've been following even homeowners are being dropped if they don't have their roofs up to date, or they may not even receive any money if they have a casualty. So we've been doing really well, I think, with the capital projects fund over the last 22 years.
Can you share one of my favorite fun facts, which is how many different levels of roof there are at the high school?
The roof sections at the high school are about 27 different roof sections. So
Yes, I love that.
we completed A gym, B gym, and the locker room area, which are really large, big expanses, and those come in a little bit square footage less than all these little tiny roof sections that we'll be conquering over the next 4 to 5 years. So I think there was a question in the crowd.
Yes,
You
please.
get to, yeah.
Yeah, you get to.
Harlan Halverson, 4128 Mahoney. I was on all these roofs. I know they've been basically a flat roof. They're very low pitch, whatever. But we got the new rubber roofing on. I was wondering on covering that, because I watch commercials on TV too, that on your house you could have somebody come in and spray it on and get more new life left in it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So is that an option on this roof?
So on sections, we're evaluating which ones we can do that on. You'll be happy to know that we did that at Waubesa last year summer. That one was available, and we tested out the insulation. Insulation was still good, so we did a spray-on that took us for a 20-year roof life on that for
Oh,
the
good.
cost of $320,000 versus a full tear-off, which
Yes.
fills landfills, stuff like that, would have been closer to $600,000. So each of our sections, we're evaluating that. This summer, I'm glad you kind of brought it up, Arlen, our roofing company evaluated our insulation. We did have a third party that took some cores. Our insulation over A-Gym was in good shape, so we were able to keep the current insulation in all spots. So again, not filling the landfills and keeping our costs down.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
Aaron.
rolling that up.
School nutrition, food service, Fund 50. Some highlights here, just, people wonder, Jeff, why do you talk about the National School Lunch Program back in 2022? Well, for a period of time, the National School Lunch Program paid for all meals, and they indexed it at basically the highest cost in the United States. So the McFarland School District, which operated much less expensively, was building fund balance. So in 23-24, our fund balance in food service was $534,000. There are requirements that you cannot have more than a 6-month operating budget in reserves. So over 24-25, and this year as well, we have planned deficits of using some of our balances. Thus, we have not increased fees for families. However, we're getting to the point where probably in 26, 27, and thereon, we will have to start to increase our fees for our families to have lunch unless things change. But some exciting things we do are reduce students, which are not many. Most of our students are either free or paid. There's a little caveat for having to pay 40 cents a meal. We don't do that in McFarland. It costs us about $5,000 to treat reduced families similar to free families, which is allowed underneath the federal government's laws. So we're able to do that. The time changes at the middle school and the high school, this being the second year of it, has increased more participation. And this is also our second year where our students at MPS do recess before they eat. So they're not in a rush to go do recess instead of, rushing their meals. So, this is the fun things that we have to talk about at an annual meeting, so.
I have a
Oh.
question about that one. So with the current political stuff happening, the shutdown and just cuts to federal things, how do you see that impacting McFarland?
Well, reimbursements for the federal level will be slower. And that is another good reason for us to have a balance so that we can cover our expenses.
Okay. Thank you.
Community service. We are the provider of community services to our municipalities that are in our school district. It is taxpayer supported by $532,000 for our operational costs, and then fee-based programming covers the other 40%. Within that $532,000, $446,000 of the levy is for our MRAP programming, our aquatics programming, and our PAC programming for our operational costs. And what I mean by operational costs is our coordinators and directors and a few lifeguards. The rest is covered by fees. We have some new exciting facility partnerships that we're moving forward with so that we have some more space, both to utilize a little bit of the new hockey edition so that we can have a little space for doing some community programming for our retirees and also very young students or younger kids that are not students to do some programming during the day. So we'll be probably starting that up more so in 26, 27 as we just formalize that. And as the village develops their community park to the east, we will also be looking to utilize their space that they're creating out there to do some programming, particularly maybe in the winter to do cross-country skiing or snowshoeing or just even fall hikes and stuff like that. So we're trying to find spaces we can use because our sites are busy during the day, during the school year. So having some of these partners has been great. We continue this year with a levy for the McFarland Youth Center of $26,000, of which is transferred to the Youth Center for the operation of that programming. And also our school resource officer services we split with the village. And our portion is $61,000 of that levy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a couple questions. Okay, so I'm kind of curious with regard, and again, I don't know the answers, but I saw something come across the email relative to a notice about the village and the McFarland Youth Center, where supposedly the village is thinking of either decreasing, not continuing. Have you seen anything like that? Anybody?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
aware of the situation with the youth center, but we can't speak for the village. However, there's been no discussion of decreasing funding for the youth center by both the school district and the village.
Okay.
It's more about oversight.
Oversight. Okay, thanks. And the next thing is, I'm just curious. I live in the town of Dunn, and does Dunn get? Do we, should I say, pay our appropriate fair share as far as to your community service fund? Are you getting something from all the different groups?
Yes.
I don't even know. Okay.
Good question.
How does that work? Go ahead.
Each municipality has equalized value, and our budget is divided out by the equalized value.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And X number goes into.
Yeah.
Good question.
Because I have that data, the town of Dunn has 19.3% of the equalized value of the district in McFarland. So it is the second largest municipality in our school district for equalized value, outside of the village of McFarland. The other municipalities are the city of Madison, town of Blooming Grove, town of Pleasant Springs, and town of Cottage Grove.
Did you do that in order of the percentage?
Pretty much.
Right, because it
Yeah.
feels that way.
Yeah, right.
What I think, am I understanding this right? So when you levy for that amount for the community service, the town of Dunn would be paying 19%.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. I was curious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very helpful.
That's good.
Want to make sure we're paying our fair share.
Thanks, Jim.
You ready?
Alrighty. Ms. Fessler,
Yes.
item 7.
What's that? Yeah, item 7, adoption of a tax levy. So we would be looking for a resolution, a tax levy resolution to fund the proposed budget in an appropriate manner. So in your packets, there's language there that you can use if you are going to make a motion to make that resolution. Yes, Jim?
I have a question.
Great.
Kind of a lengthy one, but I'm kind of curious. Understanding this is a annual meeting.
Mhm.
Let's say someone wanted to put something in, I wanted a new basketball court for the school. You know what I mean? Is this the time you'd make a recommendation to the crew, or when would that be? Or you can't do that, or how's that work?
Yeah, that isn't within the powers of an annual meeting. So the electors can't make that decision at an annual meeting. They don't have that power to do that.
Okay, so there's no, you can't add anything, it's either this or nothing? Either adopt this or a different number?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty
Can you
much.
increase the number?
You can increase the number, however, the school board would then have to have a special meeting to decrease it back to the
Right.
amount that they're allowed underneath law,
Yeah, that's that revenue
which
cap.
is the revenue cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, you could do it, it just, they'd have to reverse it because they can't.
Or they'd have to do something else and keep it and reverse something else inside to make the budget fit, correct?
We can't go over the levy.
No, I understand that, but you would, and this is just kind of curious, if you did that, then you would have to, let's say you did it,
Mhm.
you go to the board,
Well,
They
a
gotta-
member of the community can make a motion for it, and then it's voted on, and then another member can make a motion if it fails.
okay, supposing it passes,
Mhm.
then what?
Then the school board
Has
has,
to,
has the opportunity to have a meeting, a special meeting, to change the levy to fit within the law.
in that they could change things internally to fit within the law. Internally here, let's say you came up with, you wanted to add a, I'm just, maybe I can talk to you afterwards, but this is a community meeting, you know?
It's true.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
So let's say a guy wanted to say, okay, I want a new gym. Let's go with the new gym. Is that all right? I mean, you guys all right with this? I mean, we got a little time. So I say to you, I want to add in a new gym. I don't, by the way. And it's $5,000 extra. For the sake of argument, okay? Then this group here would vote on that, the additional 5,000, or the additional 5,000 be in the motion.
You can create a resolution
Correct.
for a dollar amount that's different than what is.
Okay, so let's say that resolution is $5,000 over this.
Mhm.
And this group is like all on board, yeah, we're gonna do it, go for it, right?
Mhm.
It
Okay.
passes, then what happens?
Then the school
School board.
board would have to have a special meeting to revert it to the revenue cap limit.
Because we can't go over,
It
you
cannot
can't.
go over, the
I
tax levy
understand that.
cannot be
No,
more.
I understand.
It wouldn't be binding.
It wouldn't be binding, but the
You
school
get
board,
overruled.
when they meet on that, extra 5,000's in, went over 5,000 of the levy,
Mhm.
they can then go in and adjust things accordingly to include that 5,000, maybe getting something else, adjusting something internally. No,
You can't
Like-
go over the levy limit.
no, I understand.
Are you saying
They would have
like
to reduce the levy. If they wanted to, the school board could allocate fund balance or redesign a budget or ask if there's a grant or something. But it cannot levy more than
No.
what the
We
tax
can't say to
levy-
the taxpayers, you
completely
need to pay
understand that.
$5,000.
What you just said, Jeff, is helpful.
Okay.
Before we get to the resolution, unless someone's just jumping to the bit to get to the resolution, anyone out there? Okay, can you give us some example of what, or the number that is taken off the top of this district to go to the state funded, and it comes off the top, I think, to go to help fund the voucher school, what I would call the second school program that the state funds, both the private voucher and the public. So what number do we take off the top here that our taxpayers, I assume, have to send in to the state off the top to help fund the private schools? Do we have that number? And am I accurate with what I'm saying?
So, in the information we receive on our equalized aid, the state does not report to us any longer the program dollar amounts that go to the Racine or the Milwaukee Choice programs. However, as we reported earlier,
Oh, sorry.
our direct hit on our school district for the charter schools, independent charter schools, is $230,000. That is taxed and then goes elsewhere. So there are two points here, Jim. One is, we used to receive information that, you know, $500,000 comes out of the statewide aid and a portion of it that is for our school district. They no longer report that.
But of the charter school system,
Right.
we have that number.
Yes,
And it's
230.
230, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't see that. I
That's
probably
okay.
wasn't listening
okay.
very well. I've been known not to listen well.
I don't know if you were here
I
for
think
that
you hadn't
portion.
come yet.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
I
interesting?
guess.
And I've been late oftentimes too. But, Mr. Mahoney or Jeff, do you have any recollection of what we don't know what that number is, which, of course, the thousands of viewers out there, boy, I'd like to know how much this district pays to, that's siphoned right off the top, that goes to private schools, a whole nother system. So, Jeff, do you have any recollection about maybe before they stopped doing it? Geez, I wonder why they stopped doing it. But I'm curious to know what the number might be, Jeff. Back in the day, and I won't hold you to it, but I'm just gives us a little ballpark.
I'm just kind of looking back at my notes.
Sounds like it's certainly more than 230,000.
Yeah,
We
yes.
can
It
logically
certainly
say
was
that.
more than the amount that is taxed for the independent charter schools. Jim, I may have to say it's probably about 270 to 300,000 it used to be. 353 rings a number, but they've stopped reporting that information to
And
us.
how long has that been?
Couple years,
Yeah.
like two.
Again, to the many viewers out there in our local newspaper, that might be something to continue to investigate, how public schools are funding the private schools in Wisconsin. So we have finite funds, is that correct? Funding two school districts, private, partially, and public. Is that really, can we afford that? Again, this goes out to the millions of viewers. Thank you very
Well, and I
much.
think-
Appreciate your time.
To add
Thank
on
you.
to yours, I guess I would say, for the private ones, it's funding that's not, the schools aren't regulated in the same way and held accountable in the same way. And for taxpayer dollars, that's the important part, right?
Oh, we could talk, I mean, I could spend a lot of time up here
I know.
talking about that, but my sense is it seems that we have more community members that have more important things to bring forth. But thank you for
Yeah.
pointing that out. But absolutely, I would just conclude that the playing field for the private funded schools that we help fund have not anywhere near what we as a public school have to take care of regulations in that. And I'm all for private schools. I'm a product of an elementary Catholic, God bless me, private school. But I'll tell you what, if you're going to go there, you pay for it.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Melanie Roback. I just have a question. I don't know if there's a very simple, non-technical answer. I don't quite follow why the state aid is less this year and not just like a lower proportion compared to the rising revenue limit. And part of the reason I'm asking is in looking at something else, I noticed that the Wisconsin Public Education Network also points out that 66% of districts around the state are seeing a lower amount of state aid coming into their school districts. And so I don't Yeah, I thought it was the same. I thought it just didn't go up.
Nope, it's going the other way for us, and that is why our levy is going up, because revenue cap minus state aid equals property tax. But there are several factors. One, we do have declining enrollment like other school districts.
Okay.
So, and it's probably a good chance, over 70% of the school districts across the state
Yeah.
are losing. So, and then you have the school districts that are gaining some population, and there are some. Number three basically would be is your amount of spending. Well, we've had a referendum recently. Your state aid is based on your spending, and we are behind other school districts that, one, have already passed several referendums and are much further ahead of us on a per pupil amount. So they're receiving more state aid. So that's a challenge. Even though we had a successful referendum, it would be worse if we had not had. And number three, I just lost my thought, is the fact that we're growing at about 8.3% for our equalized value, where the state average was 7%. So we are starting to look more rich in the state aid formula, where we used to look a little poorer in the state aid formula.
Was there an impact too for the last year? We had more than was anticipated in state aid that we received. And was that related to Milwaukee Public Schools?
Yes.
And that was a unique situation for that 1 year.
Great, that's helpful. And it's not like lower enrollment decreases our expenses, because we still need the same staffing and all of that.
Correct.
Thanks.
Thanks, Melanie.
Hello, it's so fun to be on this side. Megan Chapman, 6142 Pine Ridge Way. Before I move into a resolution, I would just like to thank our Dane County and other local representatives for always being a champion for public education funding. We are lucky to live in an area that believes in public education. And if, for those of you who are upset with the current state funding that we are receiving, I highly suggest you get involved, not only within Dane County, but throughout the state. Because the only way that we can really affect change is if we all work together, and that really goes outside the confines of Dane County. So with that being said, I would like to make a motion. Be it resolved that the school board be authorized to levy a tax of $23,136,017 for the 2025-26 school year. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Great point about the advocacy, too. So I would look for a second on the motion to the for the resolution.
Cassandra Dennis, 5903 Running Deer Trail. I would like to second the motion.
Thank you. All right. Any further discussion on the motion? Jim Hickey, do you want to come up to the? You gotta come up to the. Can you come up to the microphone?
I'm just curious, I'm sure I either missed it or didn't listen very well, but what impact does that have on the quote-unquote average house? You probably said that already, but do you mind repeating it?
So our levy is going up 15% overall. It is difficult to go to an average or how this might come about, because we don't know the differences between the average for our municipality was an 8% increase in equalized value. So there'll be people that have less than average and more than average. Additionally, there are differences in the municipalities and how their equalized assessed values then for the shift as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
But I will say one thing, that if we take what our estimates were in the 2024 referendum, we are within about $50 of where we thought year 2 would be.
The other thing is that we don't know the amount for the school tax
Tax levy credit,
levy credit, which is also applied onto your tax bill.
but is applied at the municipal level. So, again, it's a gut punch from our state. I think I started that
You did.
earlier.
Yeah, you can just come on up to the microphone if you want to.
Call the question.
What? You call a question?
She wants the vote.
Oh, got it. Okay. Thank you. All right. So all in favor of this resolution, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously.
All right,
So
a
the
few
next
things
item.
coming up. Yes, talking about salaries for school board members. Are you okay if I
Go for it.
continue on?
Yep.
So currently, all of our school board members are compensated equally at $3,700 annually. That was last increased in 2023. And that's 93% of the average amount in Dane County. In most districts, the president receives additional compensation above and beyond what other members receive. Currently, our amount is 72% of the average compensation in Dane County. And just a reminder that being a school board member isn't any easier today than it was yesterday. So it becomes more and more complex, as you can see with these funding issues being some of them. So at this point, the process for making a motion for,
So I would look for a motion to set the school board member compensation. And when you make the motion, you can suggest the annual salary that you think is appropriate. Jim?
What would it cost to, what would be the percent to bring you up to the Dane County average?
I can look, but I have to stop sharing my screen. To do that,
Be careful,
can you,
Looks like-
I can math.
I mean, we have
Oh,
it in
'cause we
that
have-
chart, that
yeah.
pretty little chart.
Pretty little chart.
Let me just look it up. I will tell you. I'm not gonna show it, because then you'll know how much everybody, makes around the county, and that's not probably something they wanted me to share. All right, so the average is $5,136. And that's a range, but keep in
I was gonna
mind,
say, That's the range.
that's a range from 1481 to 12,000. It does not include Madison, by the way, to 12,354. There's a pretty big
That's a
range
lot.
from 1,500 to over 12.
Wow. Okay.
I would just like to clarify that that $12,000 salary, is that indicative of a presidency within a school board?
Oh, gosh, you caught me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your help. That's a presidency. Let's go back.
Okay.
Average with, oh, that's very helpful. So I apologize. Was not prepared for this question. The average of other members without McFarland is 3970. So we're pretty close.
Yeah.
3970?
And we're at 3,700, and it's 3,968.09. Thank you. Yes, the range for presidents is much greater.
Yeah. Do I have the number? Okay. So, give me that number back again. I was disturbed by
The
Tom
average
Mooney.
of
Tom
other
Mooney
members
disturbed me.
is-
Excuse me. Go ahead.
The average of other members is 3,970, roughly.
70 cents. Oh, God, yeah.
$3,970.
I took off the pennies.
Okay. I'd make a motion, $3,970 is the average, correct?
Correct.
And we're at 3,700.
Correct.
Correct. And this is where it's been since 2023.
Correct.
So I would like to suggest or make a motion that we move that salary, and hopefully, Angie, this is, right? Even Steven, because my math is terrible, but to $4,000 for the board.
Okay.
You're making that
You made
motion?
that motion.
Yeah, that was a motion.
Okay.
Cassandra Dennis, while I love Jim's motion, I am worried about where that funding is going to come from. And given that our levy is going to be going up, how are we going to pay that premium? I believe that every school board member is worth it. I am just worried about the funding and how long we can sustain that increase.
With all respect. With
Well-
all respect, can I talk?
Yeah, why don't we see if there's a second first?
Oh, good.
And then we'll open
That's
up
a
for
very good
discussion.
point, yeah. Is there a second?
Is there a second
For 4,000.
for 4,000?
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
All right.
Can I say something about that?
I think,
Yeah, you can. I
you
mean, he made the
can.
original motion.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, folks. Huh? Are you gonna say something? Oh, yeah, I'm not in charge. Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to second the motion to set the the school board member annual compensation at a salary of $4,000.
Okay, so we do have a
Thank you.
second.
So we do have a second. Okay, so let's open up for discussion.
Based on the temperature of the reading in the room prior to the previous second, I would just like to say that, I don't want this taken wrong. And I know we're all humble, but I'll tell you what, if we as a district, parents, cannot afford to pay, what's the difference from $370 something to $4,000? $1,500 to a board member, times 5? I mean, I would be willing to spend a week with Mahoney, which is really challenging. He may not want the week, but I'll bet you I would bet you we could come up with the difference and it would not impact programming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let me just say this. And I'm not a big fan of, our school boards, if you don't know, are on the front end. They're on the front end. They're the ones that get their teeth kicked in. And the state legislature intentionally has done that.
Mm-hmm.
So what the heck? Why can't we come up with 50? And I know board members, you're going to be humble. That's the way it is. I know. Back in the day, Arlen Helverson, I'll tell you, back in those days, Howery, that crew, the rest of them. Mooney, my God. Well, he was on a humble, humble, humble. Think about it, folks. I would just hope we could pass that amount of money. Seriously. And to the millions of visitors out there, I would be willing to do a filibuster right now.
We don't
To
have
br-
a filibuster.
We don't, I think
to
that's not
provide
within
opportunity
the
to
operations.
the millions of viewers out there
We will
to
call a
come in
parliamentarian.
and help do this.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate your comments. Is there any other discussion before we take a vote? Okay.
I really, really appreciate this school board. I think we probably have the best school board in the state. But I also think that that extra $300 is probably not what our school board members are in it for. And I mean, if I were a school board member, I would just think that that $300 could probably be better spent in our schools and in the classroom, and that's why they're serving it. I think they're worth 5 times as much, but I don't, I think that $300 could be better spent.
Thanks, Melanie. All right. Anything else?
Tom Mooney, 6205 Pheasant Run. after serving on the board a couple terms, you certainly are worth it. I mean, the work, the time, the responsibilities, the stress, the anxiety, you know, that is invaluable. But I have to take a look to see what's happening in the schools, in the classrooms. I just have a hard time accepting or agreeing to a pay raise when everything within the classrooms are pretty well flat. And the teachers are the core of the district here. They're the ones that are interacting with kids on a daily basis. So again, if we were to increase it, I would have to vote no. My conscience would have to vote no at this point. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. I would say speaking just for myself, not for other board members, and just as an lecturer in this meeting, I feel the same way as Tom does. I really appreciate your comments, Jim. I think you're spot on with a lot of it. But I also wouldn't be able to, I would rather put the money towards the staff and the kids and the things that the students really need. If it's, we've talked about before, none of the board members here are, while we appreciate the compensation, we're not here for the money, so. But I appreciate your comments about value. So I feel that way about all my fellow board members too, so. All right, so let's look for a vote unless there's any other comments. Yes.
All right.
It's a tough thing to go through, I understand that. And I think everybody earns their money around here, top to bottom, no matter what position you're in, you're all doing your work. I just don't want to end up like some of our neighboring districts that you get some tight-ass old farmers out there that don't want to give up anything for you. And I'm a farmer. And I think leveling the table on this is something that has to be done. Whether we can live with it, we can massage a lot of different things. Sometimes money shows up anyway. Not all the time, but it does. So I would support that because I think it's not too far out of range, or not. It's not a big reach, but it's a respectable reach. Because if you want to have decent board members, you still got their family at home. You still got neighbors. You still got a whole connection. People jump you in the store, whatever. So you have to build relationships wide. And so they earn their oats. And I think for that amount, it ain't going to break the bank. We're going to survive. And something maybe better may be coming, or we can make something better. That's my belief.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here's a follow-up question. So if our school board right now salary is 93% of the Dane County average, what's our staff average salary percentage of Dane County?
Not 93%.
That's what I thought. Like it's
Yeah,
significantly less than that, right?
We're still in the bottom 3 or 4 for starting salary.
Okay. Okay.
I got one other comment, and I promise I'll shut up. I think, the last time the board was compensated, or it was discussed, was 2023, if I'm correct. Okay. So, if the board member doesn't feel comfortable with a, $300 raise for the year, they could do what Donald Trump does, Barack Obama did, and other people, where they can donate, write a check if they want, to the school, and then let the school pick that up. But that way, it just keeps things moving along, or there's going to be a big gap somewhere, and that could be a potential problem. So my thought to the board members that, would feel uncomfortable, which I understand, is to do that, make a private donation of some sort to a specific program. And I could name more programs for you, so I'd be more than welcome to do that, okay? And there's probably other people that could too. But I would suggest to the crew here, pass it, make your donation, and the board member then can make a donation if they want to a program. And if there's confusion about what program you could donate it to, I have a couple ideas. So,
All right.
just a
Thanks,
thought.
Jim.
Any
All right. Let's take a vote and see where we're at and see what happens. Okay. So, on the motion for increasing the school board members' compensation to $4,000 annually, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Okay. And all those not in favor, please signify by saying no or nay. All right, so I think we have to do hand raise. Let's do a hand raise. Just had to check to see if we were going to get unanimous. Okay, so all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. All those opposed, please signify by raising your hand now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I have to vote. Okay, 6. Okay, so we are at a tie.
Could we caucus?
All right. What do we do in the event of a tie?
Well, it doesn't pass.
Yeah, it doesn't pass. So we would need a new motion.
Or you
All right.
could attempt to persuade someone.
Yes,
Do we have time to do some persuasion?
You do,
you do.
but you need to do so on the microphone.
Yeah.
Yes. No side deals out there, public.
Can we pay someone? That's what I was thinking.
I did not just get paid. Okay. Meredith Huey, 5003 Wild Ride Court. Also a school board member and part of our electorate this evening. If we were to consider the motion that's set before us, financially, can we be very clear what that would mean per year and per term for each school board member?
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's $1,500 more. 5 board members, $300 each, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 1,500 times 5 total so by 3 for our 3-year elected term.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
So per school board member for one term, it's an additional $900. 3 years,
Correct.
$300 additional dollars. $1,500 additional annually for the school district cost. Okay.
Megan Chapman, 6142 Pine Ridge Way. Again, so a wise woman once told me, your time is valuable. And once you devalue your time, so does your word. Anyone who joins a school board, they're doing it out of a love for community, out of love for students, and a love of education. That being said, we do spend a lot of time away from our families. And I know personally, sometimes that time spent away from my family is detrimental, and it's very difficult. So I understand the financial situation that the district is currently in, but I also feel that increased compensation will invigorate, energize, and ultimately will lead to even more, and I'm not saying compensation leads to positive outcomes. I'm just saying that our time is valuable. And for us to be away from our families, I think that's really something to take into consideration.
Thanks, Megan.
That amount of money, and this is caucus now, so we don't really, but, you know, think about it.
Well,
The amount of money,
we still want the people at home to be able to hear, though. Yep.
Well, just for the public,
Yeah.
Okay.
that's
You
not
know,
present.
I'm never one to look, I'm a frugal person. And, you know, I mean, with what you just said, I mean, $300, right? You could take your kids out to eat a couple times. You know? Maybe go to, join the Ice Age Alliance forum, get them a membership, go walking. You know? Multiple things. So I understand how you all feel. Some of you that voted no, that tied this thing, we just need one other vote. One other vote. I mean, we're talking $300. That's a lot of money. I understand. So I don't know. I mean, were you a vote yes or no last time? I was a vote yes. Good job. Can you, I think you let me know, right?
Just for the vote.
If you go back and look at last year's meeting, it's really hard to hear any of the discussion, and that's why we did it this way, because I think the people listening at home just miss out on a lot if we don't discuss in a microphone.
Maybe they'll
Thank
come
you
next
for.
year.
That's
So
right.
one other thing I do want to point out
Good point.
with being on the school board is that the majority of our meetings are at night.
Mhm.
And I'm lucky enough that I have adult children, minus a puppy at home, but you know. But I mean, as more young families start to get involved on the school board, you're also going to have to start looking at childcare. And childcare, meals, those are all expenses, and those expenses are going up. And so like Mr. Hickey said, that $300, I can't tell you how many times I've picked up Culver's on the way home.
Thanks, Megan.
How can you argue against that, Travis?
I think you will.
You're retired.
Tom Mooney again. Jim, I can argue, I can, and I will argue against that. And you don't know how I feel. People say, you know how you feel. I don't think that's an accurate statement. No one knows how anyone feels unless it's they themselves. Clarification, for school board members that have young children, is there a clause that states that childcare can be provided? I know we had talked about it at one time.
Not
There's something
currently.
there.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
so.
But again, my bottom line is knowing what's happening or not happening in the classroom with the kids. It would be hard for me to say, we need an increase. We deserve an increase, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
But based on all the other things that we have to weigh, again, I would still be a no vote.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if I'm retired or if I'm a young parent, you know, and I don't want to say, I will say, I'm here for the kids. We all are, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly understand everybody's rationale for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope everybody's respectful of everyone's different rationale also.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
It's all about respect.
Cassandra Dennis again. I just wanted to comment on Megan's comment about the percentage that your school board members are paid versus our starting staff. And so I'm wondering, since we are at a deadlock here, I would assume we could put forward a new motion. So I would like to move to set the school board member compensation at a salary of $38.50 annually to split the difference to see if we can get movement.
Thank you, Cassandra. Do I have a second?
Craig Howery, 4604 Sigleco Road. And I believe that there will be no difference in the performance of this district school board regardless of what they're being paid. You know, if you turn the raise down, nobody's gonna hold that against you. None of the, I've been on the school board for 16 years. I don't know anyone who was doing it for the money.
Yep.
People care about the kids.
Okay. Are you seconding it? Or no?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Just for those out in the public, I will second that motion.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you. All right, let's do a vote right away. We've heard lots of arguments. And so this would be for the motion to increase the salary to $3,850 annually for school board members. So all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. All opposed, please signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's 4 noes and 8 yeses, so motion carries 8-4. So the new school board member salary would be increased to $3,850. Before we move on, can we get a reminder about how because there's a tax impact if we accept the salary and if we then donate. like there's a tax impact to school board members.
You're
and then-
still taxed on
You're
the
still
income.
taxed.
Yes. So when are the 2 times a year that we can decline receiving?
I don't have that memorized. I know
Okay.
it's right when you start a term,
Okay,
or
May and 6 months later.
6 months later, yeah, December.
okay. Okay. Perfect.
But you
Thank you
still
for that.
pay taxes on the income unless you hit those 2
Decline.
windows.
Yes, okay, perfect. Okay, thank you all for your comments. That was a great discussion. Appreciate your support of school board members, regardless of where your vote fell. All right, so let's move to number 9, reimbursement of school board members. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, so this is about reimbursing school board members when traveling for the performance of their duties. So it's the kind of necessary costs, food, lodging, things while traveling, keeping in mind that the mileage is based on the IRS reimbursement rate.
Okay, so we would look for a motion for that. Anyone like to do that? I can do that, can't I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You can, yes, you can, actually.
All right, Megan Fessler. I move to authorize the payment of actual and necessary expenses of a school board member when traveling in the performance of duties and their reimbursement for actual loss of earnings when duties require the school board member to be absent from regular employment. I would look for a second.
Craig Howry, 4604 Sickle Cove Road. I second the motion.
Thanks, Craig. All right, any discussion? Sounds like no. All right, so let's go to vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. All right. All those opposed, please signify by raising your hands at this moment. All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, and then number 10, disposal of surplus property. Want to talk about
Pretty
that?
clear cut. This just allows the district to sell and dispose of any tangible property that we no longer need.
Okay. Do I have a motion for that?
Meredith Huey, 5003 Wild Ride Court. Be it resolved that the school board of the school district of McFarland is hereby authorized during the current school year to sell and dispose of any tangible personal property no longer needed by the school district and belonging to the school district.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Someone's running to the microphone.
Don't hurt yourself.
Megan Chapman, 6142 Pine Ridge Way. I second the motion.
All right, thanks, Megan. All right, any discussion?
Call the question.
Okay, all right, we're looking for a call to a vote. So, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Okay, that looks, any opposed, please raise your hand. All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And then, number 11, annual meeting date.
This just allows the board to, the propose or the sample motion here allows the school board to determine the date of the annual meeting for 2026. We typically do it at this time annually, but it would give the board the power to do so.
Mhm.
What is this date next year? This Monday.
Hello, welcome, thank you.
Hello, getting my steps in. Megan Chapman, 6142 Pine Ridge Way. Be it resolved that pursuant to state statute 120.081, the school board of the school district of McFarland is hereby authorized to set the annual meeting date for 2026.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Meredith Huey, I second.
Thank you. All right, any discussion? All right, let's call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand. All right, motion carries unanimously. All right, so number 12, other new business within the power and authority of the annual meeting. And if you remember all the words that were up on the screen,
In their packet as well.
and it's in your packet as well. It's kind of limited, but if there's any other business, please come up to the microphone.
I just have a quick, Craig Howery, 4604 Sickle Cove Road. I have a quick question, Jeff. Is the amount of money that we make selling these, old equipment, or is that significant enough to not try to find a place to donate it to?
So if you're referring back to the action on
Disposal of
Surp-
surplus property.
yeah, so about every 3 to 4 years, we rotate out technology and make sale on that. We don't really have a lot of equipment that we sell because we use it as long as we can. And if we can't sell it, we donate it. Hats off to Habitat for Humanity, which took 150 towel dispensers to, instead of it going to the landfill, because the contractor that was selling us new ones did not want to take the old ones. So hats out to Restore.
As long as that's, out there.
Yeah, we have a full process for making sure that we can either sell for value and put it towards our new expenses, or donate to stay out of landfills.
Thank you.
True. Awesome. Thank you. Great question. Anything else? All right, I would look for a motion to adjourn. Yeah,
So moved, Jim Hickey.
thank you.
Angie Straub, seconded.
Thank you, Angie. All right. I assume there's no discussion, so all in favor? All in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All right, that's a lot. Any opposed, raise your hand, please. All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you all for coming. It is very important that you all show up every year.
Thank you, electors.
Thank you.